Yes! All right, it's Friday night, and where else would you rather be than right here, right now, talking football? There may be a few places. Not too many. Very excited to be here. In the link below, I have my video for all the picks for all the games, every single score. I got some updates with injuries I've been trying to go over. So I think I got everything out in the open. My buddy Tim sent me a text about 30 minutes ago. He's like, Dan, I'm confused. What's going on? All right, I'm going to do my best to explain everything. But the one thing that I do want to point out is that if you're confused about the AFC playoff picture, I would really encourage you to wait until the games are all played. That way we have the final answer. One Pride, man, thanks for joining, man. Really appreciate it. Glad you're here. Happy New Year. I know a little late. He says, Dan, you got your wish. We on prime time. I could not be happier. It's nothing against the Seattle Seahawks, but I'm really pulling for them to lose because I really want the Lions Packers to be a win and in game. And it's only a win and in for both teams. For both teams, if Seattle loses, which is earlier in the day. Now, the way it works, if you're not aware, if Seattle loses, winner gets in, loser stays home. If Seattle wins this game, the Lions are automatically eliminated. They cannot get in no matter what. But everybody in Seattle becomes a Lions fan because if Detroit wins that game, then Seattle gets in, Green Bay stays home. So hopefully you understand the way that goes. Super Saiyan Lions, what a great upset right here. Are you ready for the upset? Lions win 28-17. Rodgers retires. One thing I want to tell you is that it would not surprise me if Aaron Rodgers retires. It wouldn't surprise me if he plays another 5 years. It wouldn't surprise me if he wants to go to another team. Aaron Rodgers is one of those guys that I have no idea what he's thinking, what he wants to do. He's kind of his own dude. And one thing I will say is that Rodgers at his best, I'm 48. Rodgers at his best is the best quarterback I've ever seen. And I thought about doing like a top 10 quarterbacks of all time. I am going to release probably after the season's over my top 10 running backs of all time. I'm going to condense it into one video, change some things. But I'm going to do a lot of top 10 personal videos. I originally was going to do my top 10 teams that have never been to Super Bowl, that have never been to the Super Bowl. I was going to release that before the wild card weekend. I'll probably do that after. Making that video has been a little more challenging than I expected. Hutch about the pop off. I seriously, as somebody, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I'm not going to do this bandwagon jumping thing. I'm not going to pretend that I'm a hardcore Lions fan, but am I pulling for the Lions? Yes, I am. Yes, I am. And I really want the Rams to win. I really want the Rams to win. So I mean, it's going to be a good game. I would love to see Lions fans in Seattle for that game. I would love to see Lions fans in that game. So I'm really pulling for it. I called it weeks ago. Lions Packers game was going to flake. You did. Funk, by the way, 100% called it. 100% called it. I also know Funk watched my picks video. I know Funk watched my picks video. By the way, if you're not aware, I am going to go live tomorrow. I am going to do the Chiefs-Raiders game. So if you're not doing anything, turn the sound off the TV. Join me on YouTube as I do play-by-play for Chiefs-Raiders. And then the next Saturday game, that's a fun game as well. I'm going to read some. I'm going to say this real quick. For those of you who don't know, I just found this out 30 minutes ago. Next Saturday, or I'm sorry, tomorrow, Tennessee, Jacksonville. If Jacksonville loses, they can still get into the playoffs if Miami, New England, and Pittsburgh all lose. So Jacksonville is not mathematically eliminated with a loss. I just found that out. I should know. Hutch needs to pop off him and Holton. I think you mean Houston, and I'm glad you guys told me all about him because I didn't know about him. So if the Rams will play the Lions, we'll play spoiler. I actually have more faith in them if they can't make it in. I don't think so personally, but I can't. That's a tough one. That's just human emotion. I think it's just natural to feel disappointment if an hour before the game you find out you're eliminated from playoff contention. That's just my opinion. You might be more apt to be angry. You may be more apt to want to play spoiler. It's hard to say. I'll be honest. Some players may feel more angry, maybe relieved. I couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you. My personal opinion, if the Lions don't have a chance to make the playoffs, you have to be disappointed on some way. I think on some level you have to be disappointed, and I think it would cause some problems. That's just my opinion. Not the Rams. If the Hawks win the spotlight, okay. I'm sorry. You know what? I read Rams. I knew you meant Seahawks. So I believe it. I'm going to tell you something. Baker Mayfield has really come alive, and he's played really well. And Akers, for those of you who don't know that situation, Akers requested a trade. The Rams deactivated him as they were looking for potential suitors. They need draft picks, so they were going to go ahead. And nobody wanted him. Everybody thought that he would just get cut. They kept him on the team, and over the last couple of weeks, he's been playing lights out. I remember when the Chiefs drafted CEH, Carlos Edwards-Helaire, a couple years ago. I really wanted them to draft DeAndre Swift. That was like my dream pick. I didn't think Jonathan Taylor would be a good fit for the Chiefs. He wasn't used in the passing game very much in Wisconsin. Not really a natural receiver. Better than I thought, but not as good. Not a natural receiver. You have to be able to catch the ball in Chiefs offense. J.K. Dobbins and then Cam Akers. I thought all those guys were better than CEH. I thought Cam Akers, to tell you the truth, I was really thinking Cam Akers may end up in Kansas City. I thought there was a strong chance because CEH was banged up, but the Chiefs are going with a rookie. So, but Akers has been playing amazing. And Baker Mayfield, I think if I'm Baker Mayfield, I signed whatever contract the Rams offer me. For those of you who don't know, he was offered a 3-year, $93 million contract to stay in Cleveland. He turned it down. He bet on himself. He lost. He lost that bet. I would stay in LA. I would just say, hey, look, they're going to bring in players. I got one of the best coaches in the National Football League. And you have a team that believes in him. And if I'm Baker Mayfield, he's got a fantastic personality. He's built for TV. So stay in a large media market and make less money, and it'll all work out. That's what I would do if I was Baker Mayfield. Don't try to go to another team where you can get a starting job. Don't go to Carolina or one of these other teams are looking like the Saints, for example. They may be looking for a quarterback. Don't go to New Orleans. Don't go to Carolina. Just stay there. So BLC0310, man, thank you so much for the love. I forgot off the top of my head. I forgot who you're a fan of. I keep forgetting who you're a fan of. So thank you very much for the love, man. I really appreciate it. I'm trying to get everybody from all 32 fan bases to come up here. I want to say you're a Texans fan, but I don't remember. Go Detroit Rams, Hatter's House, 710 in the house. Yes, Detroit Rams. I love it. Roger's already talking mad trash. We live in his head. I didn't know that. I didn't know he was talking trash, but be very cautious. Aaron Rodgers is dangerous. Thanks for the heads up. Keys, Danny Showers live tomorrow. Is that on my? It is actually live on YouTube, not my OnlyFans. However, I will be on my OnlyFans. It is only a $29.99 per month subscription. However, if you're like Keys, you pay the $99.99, you get the all nude show. So Keys, it's so great to see you, brother. It's so great to see you. I'm a little behind on comments. I just realized that. Keys, if you don't mind, advertise for yourself, for everybody knows. Are you going live after the Chiefs game tomorrow for some post-game news? I'd be kind of curious if you are or not. Or if you're going to wait and go live after Jacksonville, Tennessee. Let everybody know here if you want to get on Key's show. By the way, it's Back Talk Brothers. That's what the BTB stands for. Back Talk Bros, I'm sorry. And he has some excellent content, some excellent insight. Me and Keys do not always see eye to eye, but I respect his opinions and thoughts. He's one of the people on social media and on YouTube that really knows his football. So I encourage you, if you are not already subscribed to that channel, get subscribed to his channel. He may want to put a link in the comments. It would not offend me. I should have a link in my description. On my page, I have special channels. I have Luke G and I have the Back Talk Brothers. It's two channels that I actively promote and watch. So Keys, let everybody know what your situation is, if you guys are going live Saturday or Sunday. No Chalk, Rodriguez, Reynolds, Jerry Jacobs, or Houston. The last time the Lions played the Pack, just FYI, I think they missed a guy too. You missed. I came. Oh, great! 11 minutes into a show, and I already forgot a name. I can't, number 11 pick in the draft, speedy wide receiver out of Alabama. Jamison Williams. Okay, it took me a minute. It took me away. You were missing Williams too. Yeah. We are the most healthiest roster in the NFL. You might be. And that, by the way, that's key. It's not who has the best roster. It's who's healthiest and hottest going into the playoffs. You have a 1-6 team that could come right into the playoffs. And that's a great story. It's a great story, and it's a dangerous team. I don't remember off the top of my head the last 1-6 team. I know that Bobby Ross led a 0-4 Chargers team to 11-5 record, and they got blown out in the 1994 Super Bowl. I forget what number that is. I'm going to quote you 29. I don't know. 28 maybe. I don't know. But it doesn't happen when you have a team that's 1-6 that can get to the playoffs. That's why I'm really, really wanting the Rams to win, make this a win and end game for both teams. A few players have spoke on the disrespect they got from Rodgers, just saying. Rodgers has always been this way. He's always had people that have said that he's not been a nice guy. Apparently there's bad blood between him and McCarthy. Apparently there's good blood. Rodgers is one of these guys that rubs a lot of people the wrong way. I've said this many times. I've never seen a quarterback play better when he's at his best than Aaron Rodgers. I mean, NFL history, you can give me any quarterback at his absolute best. Rodgers is unstoppable. He's not at his best. I mean, he's banged up. It was a broken thumb, bad knee. He's 39, but I will say this though, is that the Packers got back Iardi, their left tackle. That's big because they switched their backup left tackle over to the right side. He's playing really good. They moved Eldon Jenkins to the inside. That offensive line's starting to get really, really good. And that's actually been the biggest weakness on the Packers is their offensive line. Rashawn Gary, I could talk a long time about Rashawn Gary. I'm already behind on comments. I apologize. But Rashawn Gary, he's probably the Packers' best defensive player. He's been out for the last couple months. I think he's out for the whole even if they go deep in the playoffs, I don't think he can come back. I have to admit I didn't look that up yet. So, but yeah. Stafford, really, I thought it was Baker Mayfield. So who Kirby and Hutch? Stafford isn't playing. That was okay. Oh, Houston. Okay, yeah. My boy Alex, who is I have a Houston Texans fan. He hasn't joined lately, but we do have some Houston Texans fans here. You will not be alone. You will not be alone. I put a lot of money on the Houston Texans over 4.5 wins, and I obviously lost. So I was pretty high on the Houston Texans. I still am. I'm a big Davis Mills fan, and if I'm the Houston Texans, I would continue with Davis Mills. I think it's a big mistake to try to draft a quarterback. That's just me, though. I just want to beat the Packers. I think the Lions have the team now to do it. The LA Lions, YouTube, yes. I have a shower cam on my YouTube. You have to pay the extra. It's well worth it, as you know. Keys, I hope they still waiting to hear back. Yeah, please. And by the way, Keys, if you don't mind, in the script, in the comments, post your YouTube channel. Feel free to advertise. If you want to, after the show's over, you want to put a couple links to some of your videos, please do. But by the way, Aaron, you know what? The BTB would be kind of cool if it was all initials. It's not. But Aaron and Gooch are two of his co-hosts. It's kind of neat because they have a threesome going on where I'm just doing a solo. So they let him do his line. I'm Houston game. No shit. That is awesome. Alex has not been in here, but we do have a Houston Texans regular. Alex, big Texans fan, big Cowboys fan. So believe that. No, I'm joking. He would probably be very mad if I said that. He would probably be very mad. I sent you an email, but I think it's an old address. It was here. Hold on. Let me see here because when I changed the name of the show, I still have the old. Yeah. Okay. I apologize. I haven't gone to that email. I'm just now seeing the email. I apologize. I'll respond to it right after the show. I apologize because when I changed the name of the show, I started the show as Andrew's Football. Everybody kept on calling me Andrew, which was frustrating. I changed it to the Dan Show, but the problem is that when I would bring up the Dan Show, I was in Colorado on vacation. I ran into a couple guys, and it took us like 5 minutes to go through and try to find the Dan Show on YouTube. So I changed it to Dan Talks Football. Yeah, my email address is the Dan Show at Yahoo. I just got it. I've kind of just not been paying attention to it, so I apologize for that, James. But I'll respond to it right after the show. So I'm very sorry about that. Error on my part. Maybe I should create a new email address for Dan Talks Football. I've been meaning to get together an email list, and like Keys. Keys also brought up I should also get on TikTok, which I've been reluctant to do. Yeah, JMO didn't play. I don't remember when they played. I think it was early in the season. We have one injury, and that's a backup guard. Yeah, it's not who's the best team. It's usually who's the healthiest. And the Lions are in a good position that if they get in, I don't have the seedings, which I can bring up right now, but let's do it right now because that's something that we're nobody's talked about yet, and it's something I can go over. But I encourage you, if you're confused about the seedings, I would really encourage you to just wait until week 17 is over. That way you get the official word from the AFC, what's going to happen. Okay. But let's say the Lions get 7 seed. All right, just for fun. Right now, you would play San Francisco. Okay. It's a good matchup because certain teams match up better against certain teams. Well, you have a really good offensive line against a really good defensive line. And that kind of cancels out the great defense. So the question is, how does this game won? Well, you have San Francisco's offense against the Detroit defense. Now, normally I would say advantage 49ers, but you have a third-string quarterback going against some good pass rushers. That's a good matchup. That's actually a game I would bet on because San Francisco would probably be about a 9. Seriously, they would probably be about 9.5 point favorite, and I would bet heavy on Detroit to cover. Probably not win, but I would bet on them to cover. That's a good game to bet on. And the reason why is the matchup favors Detroit. They have nothing to lose. San Francisco has a third-string quarterback going against a good pass rush, even though the defense isn't that good for Detroit. That's a good matchup. And that's something, and also I can say the same thing about Green Bay. The difference is with Green Bay, the line wouldn't be 9.5. It would probably be about 6, maybe 6.5. So we got some love for Green Bay here from One Pride 40. I love it. Rodgers is never at his best in the NFC. No, he's not, and he's always been that way. And I lost my place in the comments here. Okay, here we go. Yeah, you did. You warned me. I really thought 4 wins would not be asking too much. I really didn't think 4 wins would be not too much. I won all my Chiefs bets. I won all my Steelers bets, and one of my Patriots bets. So I do have some money that I made this year, but overall I took a loss. This is my first. Actually, last year I took a minor loss, but this is the first time I've lost on over unders, and it's kind of a blow to my ego. I have a giant ego. I'm an egotistical motherfucker, as you guys know, and it was kind of hard. The first year sports betting is legal where I'm at, and I'm taking a pretty big loss, at least big for me, in sports betting. It kind of hurts my ego, but doesn't mean I'm going to stop. And I normally don't bet a lot on the playoffs, but I am going to do some playoff betting this year. I am going to do some probably minor playoff betting, but I'm going to put some money down. So, and I like Mills too. If I'm the Houston Texans, I build this team around Mills. I still do that. I don't draft. I don't draft Bryce Young, somebody who I really respect in sports betting. Has a lot of money bet on Will Levis, the Kentucky quarterback, going number 1. He got some really great value. He got 40-1 odds, and then he got 25-1 odds. Right now, it's like 9-1. So I don't think he's going to go number 1, but I'm kind of pulling for that guy. I don't know if he subscribes to my channel or not, but when I responded to his comments on Twitter, he responds back. He's a big time professional sports bettor and poker player. So I wanted the Lions to move here to LA. The city I live in is famous for having a lion farm. Look up the Gays Lions is really okay. I'm gonna save this comment, and later on tonight, I'll take a look at that. That's interesting. There's a lot of trash talk going on Facebook. Okay, yeah, I don't. By the way, if you're in a Detroit Lions Facebook group, I am on Facebook. Links below. Please send me a link or an invite. Please do. I would love to be involved. Houston getting off because Hutch double team rate. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And that's why I like it, because you need 2 pass rushers. That's why I was thinking, instead of the inside help, instead of a quarterback, would it be so bad if you guys got somebody like Tyree Wilson opposite Hutchinson? And I say that because I think Tyree Wilson's going to go over Will Anderson. Will Anderson's one of those guys, I think his stock's going to drop. I really do. So you sound dismissive. There's a lot of people like that. That's why it's a fun game. Hey, Girl TV. Oh, wow. She's looking good as always. She says, my man, Dan. Unfortunately, she is married. She's looking fine. Her YouTube channel is fantastic. Yeah, outside of Walker and the Big V, the Lions aren't missing. That's a big one. That's a big one. I prefer the Lions to beat the Vikes. Well, the way I just did it the way it is right now. So, and again, I'm not too far behind. Lions 45. You know what? You're gonna get Star Hatters out. Oh my God! It's Denver Gator. Yes. All right. I can't do it, Matthew McConaughey. By the way, if you're not aware, it's this all right comes from Matthew McConaughey impersonating Jim Morrison in the movie. Oh man, I can't believe I drew a blank. Ben Affleck's in it. Football in Texas. Dazed and Confused. All right, took a while. Yeah. So anyway, and so yeah, he's doing it from Dazed and Confused. Denver Gator, I have missed you. I have so missed you. I'm glad you're here, man. Glad you're here. It's my show. I can do whatever I want. I've missed you, personal level. Seriously, personal level. Just guy to guy. I'm glad you're here. Glad you're here. Kia stopped Dylan and Jones. It is. You have banged up Rodgers. I am excited as a football fan for Sunday night. I just want it to be for both teams because you have a winning in the AFC for the AFC South. That, by the way, it's going to be a really good game. Really good game. And then you also have what could be a winning in for both teams, and I really want to be a winning in for both teams. I'm pulling for it. I'm pulling for the Rams Sunday. To be fair, Houston did continue to play their games. So, yeah, it's kind of interesting because right before I went on the air, I think it's Bill Bidwell, ESPN writer. I don't do the ESPN Plus, by the way. I know it's like $10 or whatever. Anyway, I'm not going to rant about that. I've been doing too much ranting, and I want to go through all these games, and I haven't had a chance to. So I don't do ESPN Plus, but he had an article, so I can only read like the first part of it about Black Monday. I've been toying around with going live. I don't know that I will be able to go live for Black Monday or do a video, which I'd really like to. But he had 7 job openings, and he put together some teams that he thinks are going to have some open hires that I didn't see coming. He thinks that the Saints job will be available. I don't think so, but that's an interesting one. He also said Washington, which is interesting because Ron Rivera is both the head coach and general manager. So that's another one. So that's kind of interesting as to some head coaching positions. Usually there's one head coach firing that people don't see, but I'll be honest with you, the Saints and Washington are 2 teams I didn't think about, but after he wrote that article, I was kind of like, maybe. I think Lovie Smith could be gone. I also think that, there could be another surprise, but I'll be honest, the Saints and Washington were not 2 teams I was thinking about, but now I'm kind of like, well, maybe. I mean, I've seen weirder things happen. I've seen a lot of weird things happen, so I'm going to be paying attention to that Monday because it is interesting to see what teams are going to have some availabilities. And then he had the rankings, which I disagreed on the rankings. I was able to, the article cut off at 7. He was ranking them 7-1. So he thinks there's going to be 7 open positions. I think Arizona, that's kind of a foregone conclusion. I mean, that might even happen Sunday night. So nothing against Kingsbury, but man, the Blitz predicts, man. I'm glad you're still here, brother. He puts in, I love your continuing to grind and post weekly. I've been too busy dedicating time for work, but I plan on coming out with postseason best bets. So please put a link in the description. You have me on social media. Please hit me up, tag me, whatever you want to do. I would love to hear your picks. And I noticed you haven't been posting, which has been sad, but I understand it. Listen, man, YouTube's a grind. YouTube's a grind. It is. And so thank you for the love and support, man. I really, really appreciate it. Oh my God, Susan Michelle. Is it Michelle, Susan, Michael? Hey, Dan, Mike and I are here. We met just recently, and Mike is they're in Florida. So he has some Jacksonville love here. Mike is a Cowboys fan, which is interesting because we talked old Cowboys, which is always a kick for me. I love my NFL history. Like I said, I'm coming out with a video. Originally, it was going to release Tuesday, top 10 teams in NFL history that have never made the Super Bowl. But more than likely, it's going to come out after the wild card weekend. So it was just like I was telling the Blitz Predicts, YouTube's a grind. So thank you so much. Michigan blew a big chance. I really want that TC. Oh, dude, that TC running back. I think he goes in the second round, but he's a guy that He's really good. I watch a lot of TCU this year. He's really, really good. Hey, Girl TV, thanks for the support. Love you. Okay, hey, listen, Susan, Mike, thank you so much for coming in. I appreciate it. You guys have my information. You hit me up anytime. I like Tyree Wilson, but I'm worried about a split. Wouldn't hate to pick. Honestly, I'd rather double dip at corner than grab a DN or outside linebacker. There's going to be some really good corners. You could do what Kansas City did. Kansas City triple dipped and got a corner in rounds 1, 4, and 7. And I think you're going to see that. I think that you're going to see a lot of late round corners that may go up through the draft because of Joshua Wilson, who was 4th round pick from Fayetteville State for the Chiefs. He's been starting a large part of the year. And then the 5th round pick at Seattle. I'm drawing a blank on his name from UTSA. It's University of Texas, San Antonio. Complete blank on his name. There's also another corner, McCallum. I think it's Zian McCallum. He was a 5th round pick out of Sam Houston State. He's got some starting time for Tampa Bay. But yeah, these athletic small school corners, I think you're going to see more and more of these guys after what happened this year. Some of these guys may get pushed up. So you may see a corner of like a 5th or 6th round grade going like 2nd or 3rd round with the success of some of the small school corners have had in this year's draft. So don't be surprised if there's a 3rd, 4th, or 5th round corner that gets to be a starter day one. I should know the corner in Seattle. You know who I'm talking about. I'm drawing a complete blank on his name. Hey, Chad. Hey, thank you. Yes, please hit the like button. Come here for the LA Lions. It's awesome. I know it's an NFL channel. Denver Gator, I am going to give my national championship prediction. Because I haven't had a chance to interact with you. We didn't do anything with college football. You're my college football guy. So yeah. Bring up some knowledge here. Bobby Petrino's the OC for Texas A&M. Bennett has a prop bet for 9+5 rushing yard take to over. I didn't know about the prop bet, so good call. I was aware about Bobby Petrino. If you're not aware, Bobby Petrino's an interesting story. I don't want to go into too much detail because I've known about Bobby Petrino for about 25 years. Interesting coach, really, really good coach. Really good coach. Checkered past, to say the least. Very, very checkered, both as a coach and off the field. It's kind of a powder keg there at Texas A&M, and that's a really good story. Maybe I should do a video on Texas A&M because that's like that's a powder keg. I'm good thinking like 5, 5th round. Okay? So he's talking about the 5th round, and I missed it, but he's talking about the TCU running back. No, he may go a lot. He may go a lot higher if you're talking about the TCU running back. I think he could be a 2nd round pick. He's a guy NFL scouts are really liking. 3 down back, who's 220. He needs to run good. He needs to run good. When I say run good, probably in a 4-5 range would probably put him in the first 3 rounds. Keep in mind, if he goes to a combine and he's like 207 or something, then that's a different story. But I think he's going to enter the combine at like 220, 225, run under 4.6. I think he's going to have some good speed. And teams are going to see it. The comparison you're going to keep hearing is probably going to be Bryce Hall. He's not as good as Bryce Hall, but he's a pretty good player. I can almost guarantee you the Raiders are not getting a coach, and that's more financial. The Raiders having some financial issues. That's kind of the reason why they put that. They're not coming out publicly and saying this, but the reason they bench Carr is for financial issues, and they still have to pay Gruden like an insane amount of money. They still have to pay him. I think it's like $45 million. He still has 3% ownership rights of the Raiders. When they fired him as head coach, he's still part owner, and they still had to pay him, and that's like a whole mess in itself. So the Raiders financially are in a really bad situation. That's why they can't move on from the quarterback, because they're still paying Gruden. They can't afford to pay another head coach. Then give top dollar, because if you're the Raiders, you would need to get a top dollar head coach. So the Raiders are one team that are not, I can almost promise you, is not getting a head coach. I also think that they like McDaniels. I think that they were kind of anticipating in the wild AFC West, and I think it's more likely that what they're going to do is let McDaniels get his own team and then go on. Yes, it is. And Hey Girl TV, she was doing daily vlogs, and you've been continuing it, which is, I think, awesome, and it's really hard. I thought about trying to do a daily. I looked at your show, like maybe I should do a daily vlog and just talk about what's going on. I thought about talking about the injury to Damar Hamlin, which I've been avoiding. And I kind of don't want to. So what a popular thing to do on YouTube is take a hot topic and then start talking about it. And I've been kind of wanting to just stay away from it. It's just, to be honest with you, I have watched less football this week, mainly because of that injury, than I have in a long time. And I still watch quite a bit of football, but normally I'm watching like 5 or 6 games during a week to try to get caught up. And I haven't watched any games. I haven't watched any games. I watched some awesome 30 for 30 specials. I watched The Last Days of Night, about Bobby Knight. For those of you who are young, probably don't know. I love the Bobby Knight. Requiem for the Big East, which was pretty interesting. So I haven't been into college basketball in a long time. I'm showing my age here, but when I watched college basketball, it was at its very peak. Christian Laettner, you'll never have another Christian Laettner again. The Fab Five, Shaq at LSU, UNLV. That was like the best college basketball could get. So the channel is awesome. Great. The channel is awesome, and it's not awesome because of me. It's because of great people like Keys, great people like Funk, and great people like One Pride, and great, fantastic girls like yourself. So kind of does, man. I can't think of his name right now. He kind of does. TCU has some interesting players on that team. They have some interesting players, and I didn't get together with a Denver Gator. He's my college football expert, because I haven't talked to him in a while, so I'm so super glad to see him here. I'm really jacked up. We might have been able to do like a college football special. And I would have talked some more about college football. I'll be honest, with everything that's happened this week, college football kind of went to the back. But I am going to give my national championship prediction. Speaking of Michigan, do you think Jim Harbaugh is going to leave? From what I heard, he didn't exactly shoot down rumors. Of course, it's always the best interest of the wallet not to. Woolen, that was his name. I wanted Woolen. Yeah. Woolen is that's the guy I was thinking of. And by the way, if you're a college football wide receiver and you're 6 foot or taller, go to the defensive side of the ball. Tariq Woolen, the reason why he lasted to the 5th round is his play was actually that of an undrafted free agent, believe it or not. He played at University of Texas, San Antonio, which I believe is going to there's some conference shuffling around. I believe Texas San Antonio is going to go to Conference USA. I believe that's true. Anyway, his play was out of an undrafted free agent. He wasn't that good. But the reason why is he's a former college wide receiver who had a smart coach who said, listen, because of your athletic ability, go to the defensive side of the ball and you can play in the NFL. And that's what he did. He was very raw, didn't play all that good, but he has all the physical attributes to be a shutdown corner. He's like 6'3", 6'4", 210. Depends on who you talk to. I think he ran like a 4.31 at the combine. He ran something ungodly fast, but he didn't play well, and he's raw because he played his whole life on the other side of the ball. You're going to see more and more. I always say this, but you probably won't, but you're going to see more and more kids switch from wide receiver to defensive back because of players like Tariq Woolen, a former wide receiver, goes to the defensive side of the ball and just blows up. So, but I have a little Al Davis in me, so I wanted Christian. I would not have been mad about Christian Watson in Kansas City. I would not have been mad. Yeah, Michigan did blow it big time. Michigan really should have won that game. I don't want to. Yeah, and by the way, as far as Jim Harbaugh, I think it's smart because Jim Harbaugh here's the story. It was 2 years ago. He took a pay cut or had some things transferred to a bonus because his job was on the line at Michigan. And his job always will be on the line at Michigan. I mean, Michigan's one of the few schools that you gotta contend for the national championship every single year. And he had some bad years. His job was on the line. Michigan stuck by him, but he's always stuck his foot in the NFL water. And I think part of it is that he's letting Michigan know, hey, you know what? Before you, in case I have a 9-3 season. By the way, Big Ten's getting loaded, folks. I mean, Penn State's bringing in some really good players. Michigan State's recruiting really well. I mean, Wisconsin hired, I think it's Luke Fickell from the University of Cincinnati. Plus, they were able to keep their interim head coach, who was the defensive coordinator, Jim Leonard, who had a lot of NFL teams, specifically Green Bay, interested. Big Ten's also getting USC and UCLA. And so he's letting Michigan know, hey, you know what? Before just in case I have a 9-3, 8-4 season, I got NFL teams. Could he be interested in an NFL team? Absolutely, he could. The team I think he would be really interested in, and I think it's his best fit, is the Denver Broncos. As a former quarterback, as somebody who coached against Russell Wilson and as an NFL quarterback, I think that would work. I think his offense would fit Russell Wilson, and I think he would convince Russell Wilson, hey, let me keep you healthy. Let me keep you safe. Let me run the ball. Let's play good defense. And I had success against you doing that same thing. So, plus there's also some bad blood between Harbaugh and Pete Carroll. That goes all the way back to college. I think Russell Wilson would publicly support Carroll, but privately really like it. So, If I'm Harbaugh, and apparently Carolina's reached out to him, Indianapolis has reached out to him. Of course, Indianapolis is one of the teams he played for in the NFL. He has a history with Indianapolis. But if I'm Jim Harbaugh, I would really strongly consider the Denver Broncos. That would be my number one option. And the thing is, because you do have a new ownership group in Denver, I think. The other two teams, Carolina and the Colts, he's not going to have player control. In Denver, he could have player control. So, Jeffy, what's up, brother? We going to the Super Bowl? Let's we got some playoffs. It's a lot of fun. I'm been ranting and raving here, but I'm gonna do all my picks here. But Kansas City would be my favorite for the AFC. Powder keg were the exact words I said when I heard the news. Can't wait for Jimbo Bobby drama. Absolutely. I seriously I really could do a video just on that alone. And the drama is going to be hardcore because Bobby Petrino off the field, on the field. I mean, you got, by the way, if you're not aware, Texas A&M probably has roster-wise, talent-wise, top 5, top 3, maybe number 1 talented roster in all of college football. I know that's being bold and saying a lot, but yes, maybe the best talent, just pure talent. And they had a losing season. Remember, they beat LSU. And if you watch that LSU game and you didn't know Texas A&M record, you'd be like, okay, that's a top 10 team. So, yeah. Do you think McVay is done after this season? Lots of rumors swirling, Donald retiring. I don't think so personally. And, I heard that he thought about it, and I heard about Aaron Donald. I don't think either one of those guys want to end on a bad note. I don't think either one of those guys want to end on a bad note. So I don't think so. But weird things happen. Being an NFL head coach and a superstar like Aaron Donald is exhausting. And it's not just on the field, it's off the field, social media. Like a guy like Aaron Donald, he can't go to Walmart. He can't go to Target, he can't, he's got to, he's such a superstar. He can't go anywhere without getting mobbed. And a town like LA, I mean, he went to University of Pittsburgh. I think he's from the Pittsburgh area. I could be wrong about that. Being in LA where you can't even leave your home, and then, it's a grind. Aaron Donald's first ballot Hall of Famer if he retired today. So I personally don't think so, but you never know. You never know. The Fab Five ruined Michigan sports for me. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm telling you right now, that was, in my opinion, that was the best college basketball ever was. You had the Fab Five, right? Don't forget how good UNLV turned me on to college basketball. Then my hatred of Christian Laettner today is a one and done. You have the Fab Five. Shaquille O'Neal at LSU. He played 2 or 3 years at LSU. I can't even begin to. If you didn't see Shaquille O'Neal at LSU, I don't know how to explain it. It's like it's not like a grown man playing against kids. It's like a grown man playing against toddlers. You've seen that commercial where it's like it's like a bunch of 5 or 6 year old kids and they're like on the playground. They're like, I'll pick Barkley. You've seen that commercial? That's what LSU with Shaquille O'Neal was like. Like Shaquille O'Neal at like his best basketball, believe it or not, was at LSU. Like he was just, I don't know how to explain it. Yeah, the Fab Five. Yeah. So like I think like Ed O'Bannon, for you longtime college basketball fans, Ed O'Bannon kind of sunk college sports, in a way. So yeah. Jimmy. Hey Dan. Hey everyone. See, yeah. What a great season. I haven't even done my picks yet. University of Michigan lost Anthony. Really, I didn't know. You're talking about Anthony Richardson? Is that? Yeah, I didn't know that. You actually think Harbaugh's leaving? No, I do not personally. I think he stays, but I think he's smart by having his agent or releasing that he's talking to NFL teams. I think it's smart because he's letting Michigan know, hey, just so you know, I can go somewhere else. I have options before you're thinking about screwing around with my pay, before you decide not to make me the highest paid coach in the Big Ten or anything. There's so many things that he could do. But if he was going to leave for the NFL, I think the Denver job is got to be the job, because I think they would give him player control, even though he would have a general manager. They have limitless pocketbook. So, I mean, I mentioned about the Raiders. The Raiders are cash poor right now. I mean, they're going to struggle even if they wanted to fire their coach, they couldn't. They wouldn't fire McDaniel. George blank here. So they couldn't. They really couldn't. They don't have the money. You're not going to have that problem in Denver. I mean, seriously, in the next couple of years, we could have stadium upgrades, even though they have a fantastic stadium. You could have a practice field upgrade. You could have so many things in Denver. So if Denver, if Harbaugh does leave, I think Denver's got to be the job. And I think that in order for that to happen, I remember Matt Rule got a 6-year, $70 million deal from Carolina, and he never was a head coach in the NFL. He was with the Giants The Giants organization, especially Tom Coughlin, that's what got him the $70 million in Carolina. You're probably looking at something better than that. So, because right now I don't know the exact deal. If one of you guys wants to look it up, but one of his, if you want to look it up, I think he's making like 10 or 12 million at Michigan. I mean, he's one of the highest paid. I think he's top 5. That's kind of a weird deal because him and Ryan Day kind of go back and forth. And I think like the way his contract's set up, he has to make more than Ryan Day. I could be wrong about that. But if he does leave, Denver's going to break the bank. When I say break the bank, it wouldn't surprise me if it's something like 5 years, 110 million. I'm not exaggerating. I mean, what they'll do is they would reset the market with Harbaugh. They would do something insane. So, and Denver's one of the few. For those of you who don't know, Denver was just bought out by a group that it's like the Walmart owner and somebody else. But they got I want to say like the worth of the group that bought out the Denver Broncos was like 6 or 7 billion. So I mean, they're like they went from the Bolin family, the group that ended up buying the Broncos from the Bolins. They're now one of the top 5 as far as money, top 5 in the NFL. So they went from bottom to top. So they can do something crazy. So. Fab 5, one word for you. Timeout, 2 more words. F Michigan after last year's optics with the Vikings. Harbaugh stays. I think he does, but Denver's, remember that dude's a Hall of Famer. MSU should be better. They should. They have a really good recruiting class coming in. Shaq made his money at LSU. His best years for fun and excitement. I mean, seriously, if you didn't watch Shaquille O'Neal at LSU or Orlando, you don't know how good he was. Shaquille O'Neal, once he went to LA, he just kind of grew, and he just wasn't the same guy. I mean, he could. People forget, like Shaquille O'Neal was fast at LSU. He was fast for the Orlando Magic. He wasn't fast when he was with LA, and he was still one of the best players in Laker history. I'm not big. It's not cocaine, despite what Keys may tell you. Shaquille O'Neal was fast in Orlando. He was fast at LSU. He wasn't fast with the Lakers, but he was still one of the best, 5 players in the NBA. But can you imagine a fast Shaquille O'Neal in college? I don't even know how to explain it. I remember Sports Illustrated had this article, and it was like Godzilla on a basketball court. And I was like, yeah, that's kind of what it is. If we beat the Packers, it's very attractive for free agents. It is. It's actually they're building something in Detroit that's really special, and they're building something that hasn't been in Detroit. I mean, and probably ever. And if you want to say Barry Sanders, I don't think so. They're making it fun to be in Detroit, and a lot of it had to do with the Hard Knocks special. A lot of it had to do with the head coach, a guy that I thought could easily be fired. They're building something. I think they have a bunch of coaches, our former players, that people want to come for. It's becoming a good place. It's also about the money, man. It's also about the money. There's a lot of money that goes around free agency. I don't know. You guys have been telling me they're not in a really good free agent spot as far as income. That's a bad thing, because I mean, it's not a major media market, but I think it is going to be appealing. Are you going to have players that are going to turn down 10 million to take 7 or 8 in Detroit? No, you're not. But if cash is about the same, yeah. Net worth of the Walter Penner Group is like 70 billion. I didn't know it was that high, but like there's no limit to what they can do in Denver. There's no limit. So that like giving Harbaugh a 5-year, $110 million contract sounds ludicrous right now, but that could happen. That has the ability to happen. And it wouldn't surprise me if there was massive upgrades to the Denver Broncos. It also wouldn't surprise me if they did just the opposite and just tried to make it about money and just like, hey, we're not going to invest too much into this. It's going to be very interesting to see how that whole situation's handled. But it wouldn't surprise me if they break the bank to try to get a key big time coach. And Harbaugh's a good one. And that's why, they're going to reach out to Harbaugh, because that's a head coach that would generate excitement. That's a head coach I think that would work. It's one of the few ones I think that would really work as far as big time. Because this, contrary to what that ESPN article says, of all the teams, I think the team that would be less appealing would be the Denver Broncos. The only reason it is appealing is because this Walton Penner group is, I didn't know it was $70 billion. I thought it was a lot less, but still, I mean, there's several owners that are not worth $1 billion, believe it or not. Most of them are, believe it. Most NFL owners have a net worth of over $1 billion. Not all of them do. Right now, the Raiders are one of them that's probably not even at $500 million. Only $500 million. So, yeah. Shaq in the Orlando days was the most fun I ever had watching pro basketball. I remember his first week. He won NBA Player of the Week as a rookie, and nobody ever did that. Nobody ever stormed the NBA like Shaquille O'Neal. Nobody ever came in and was as dominant. Shaquille O'Neal came in and he won Player of the Week, and he was, for like his first week in the NBA, he was the best player in the NBA, and that included that included prime Jordan, Barkley in his prime, Akeem Olajuwon, whatever you want to say. And then the next year they brought in Penny Hardaway, and that was so much fun. It was. The 90s basketball, I wasn't a big NBA fan, and then Jordan hit the scene, and then I was like, hey, I got to watch this. I think Orlando Brown will go to the Bears. That would actually be a great signing for the Bears. The Bears have a lot of holes. I think I don't know their salary cap situation, but that actually makes a lot of sense. I think they're in a good cap situation. Kansas City is not, and Orlando Brown wants to be the highest paid left tackle, and it makes a lot of sense for him to go to the Bears. That actually makes sense. Kansas City really wants to keep Orlando Brown, despite of what you may hear from Keys or other Kansas City fans. The Chiefs really like Orlando Brown, but it might be a cap casualty. This feels more special to Lions than I've ever felt. I just hope Ben Johnson doesn't leave. I understand. I understand Ben Johnson's the general manager, by the way. Detroit is definitely going to have to overpay market price for free agents. It's not a media market, and I don't think it's a appealing place, but they're doing a really good job. They're doing a really, really good job. Here's what you need. You need one big free agent who comes to Detroit without breaking the bank. And I don't know if you can get that. And we'll have to break it down, because this free agent class is awesome. And I've seen some crazy things. One guy did a mock NFL draft, which I don't think this would ever happen, but it was interesting. Lamar Jackson being traded to Atlanta for like a buttload of draft picks. And I was like, no, but I've seen weirder things. This free agent class is one of the best that we're going to see in maybe ever. You're going to have big names. You're going to have players in their prime. It's going to be nuts. And so I really think Detroit just needs one guy who comes there and says, hey, I'm here because this team's going to win. And it might be somebody like Lamar Jackson, a guy that I have a major man crush on, Juju Smith-Schuster, I think would be a perfect fit for a team like Detroit. If he decides he wants to come there and he doesn't break the bank, that would be a big one. There's so many free agents, so I don't think he is either. People are scared of first timers now after the year after next, but yeah. Date night. Enjoy your date night. Hey Girl TV. Thank you so much for the love. I really appreciate it. Bears got the most cap. Yeah. Orlando Brown. You'd be surprised Chark took less the Coke here. Bears got the most cap. Bears about to spend yeah. How much? Orlando Brown. I don't know if Keys is still on or not, because Keys had a great article breaking down the contract that Orlando Brown wants. It was a great article. Great video. I'm sorry, he did video. It was a great video. He broke it down this summer. Orlando Brown wants to be the highest paid left tackle in football. He wants about 20 to 25 million. I mean, he's wanting like, God, I'm drawing a blank. I want to say he wanted something like 5 years, 130 with like 100 guaranteed. I mean, Orlando Brown wants big time bucks, and when he came to Kansas City, he was adamant about wanting to be one of the top 5 left tackles in football, and Chiefs fans think that he's, not top 10. I think he's like somewhere between like 8 and 11, 7 and 12, somewhere in that range. But he wants to be paid like the top, and that's actually Kansas City's biggest problem this offseason, is because they don't have a ton of cap space, and they really like Orlando Brown. So, okay, he wanted to top Trent Williams in length, AAV, and guaranteed money. I don't know Trent Williams' contract off the top of my head, but am I correct? Somewhere it was around 2025, and I think he wanted more than that. But big time money. Oh, okay. Yeah, Chark by no means top of the food chains in what was available though. Chark, you need something bigger. Exactly. You need a household name. Me and you, we know about DJ Chark. Now, I know about DJ Chark because I really liked him out of LSU. I remember him coming out of LSU and me really liking him a lot. You need somebody that everybody knows. You need a big name. You need, I say Juju Smith-Schuster, and maybe need somebody bigger than that. But yeah, they need a big name like AJ Brown. They need a big household name to go to Detroit and say, hey, I'm not going to break the bank. I'm here because I want to win. You could get somebody like maybe somebody like James Bradbury. That would be a real good one. He would be expensive, but if he leaves Philly via free agency and he signs with Detroit for less than, like, I'll use the word market value, because I think he's 30, 31. So his market, depending on who you're talking to, is going to be interesting. You get somebody like Bradbury, who maybe signs for either market or less than market value. That could steamroll an avalanche to come. Because, I mean, there's some really good things going on in Detroit. So Atlanta's still strapped with Ryan contract. I had Lamar big payday. Well, it was funny. This is one of these guys that he did a mock draft and is more shock value because he had some interesting trades. But bottom line, there's always like a free agent that you don't see that kind of comes out of nowhere. I don't see this. Out of all the teams Lamar Jackson could go to, Atlanta is not one of them. The part of the reason you could say is because, Arthur Smith is exceptional with running quarterbacks, and that offense kind of would work. I don't think so. Yeah, he also didn't play half the year. He's talking about Chark, not Lamar Jackson. At least I think he was. But he was a big name free agent last year. No. DJ Chark wasn't a big name free agent. He was a guy that I know that I liked. Yes, Deron. Yeah, that's who you would need, and you would need Deron Payne to take either value or less than market value to really generate excitement. If you overpay for Deron Payne, then no. But if you get Deron Payne to come for less than maybe he could have taken, and then for the pundits on, to say that, hey, then you could create an avalanche and more players wanting to come. But you need to get somebody like Deron Payne. That would be perfect. No, Chark wasn't. Okay, 6 years, 138 million, and was it? What's AAV? Actual value. I know the acronym. I'm just trying. It's something actual value of 23 million, 55 guaranteed. So, could Chicago be honest? Be honest with you, Chicago may even offer more than this, and that kind of makes sense because they really want to fix some things. So, Divine Comedy, what is up? It's been a long time. I am very glad you're here, brother. Annual average value. Okay, yeah. All right, I knew that. Believe it or not, I did. I forgot. All right. Kind of splitting hairs here, but Javon Hargrave might be a better fit for Detroit, but as far as big names, Deron Payne has the bigger name than Hargrave. But that's kind of what you're talking about. If I'm building it, if I'm the Detroit Lions, I would rather sign Hargrave for less money than Payne, but you may want to get Payne because he has the name value. Hargrave's an interesting player because he really played well in the 3-4 defense, struggled at first with Philly's defense, and when Philly kind of switched things up, he really kind of blew up. But he's a guy that can play in both the 3-4 and the 4-3, but I think Detroit's trying to do it like a multifaceted hybrid 3-4-4-3. Guy like Hargrave could be very, very good. I kind of want Detroit to go after Josh Jacobs or Tony Pollard. Both would be great fits for Detroit. And I think Williams is going to leave through free agency. I think he's going to chase the dollars. That would be great if you could keep him. But Josh Jacobs is an interesting situation because I think the Raiders really want to keep Jacobs. I think they really like his game. And even though he is banged up, he's one of these guys that has the ability, I think, to be a stud. Especially for a team like Detroit has a really, really good offensive line. Pollard's also somebody very interesting who I think Dallas is going to lose. And I could see the only thing about Pollard is he does a lot of the same things that Swift does. So I would kind of want to see Detroit go after a bigger back. So that would be kind of my thing. I don't want to tell you something. Josh Jacobs in Detroit, if you're a Lions fan, you haven't had a chance to watch this guy play. This guy, Josh Jacobs, is really good. I hate doing comps, but he's almost as good as Jonathan. He has a very similar build to Jonathan Taylor. He doesn't have the breakaway speed, but everything else that Jonathan Taylor has, Josh Jacobs has, except he doesn't have the speed. So feels like the NFL hates my Seahawks screwed us with scheduling on Saturday and Sunday. I'm going to be honest with you, man. I just want to see I want to see the Rams beat the Seahawks because I really want to see Detroit and Green Bay fight for the playoffs. I don't want to see one team in and one team out. I just want to see it. Tomlinson would actually be the best out of those three players. Tomlinson's probably the best player because you can get him the cheapest. But when I talk about getting a free agent with a big name, I'm talking about Payne would be the guy. Dallas money's tied up in Zeke. Yeah, they're paying Zeke so much. Pollard, I'll be honest, if I could just, like Madden style, I would move Zeke and I would keep Pollard. That's what I would do. And then I would, draft a big running back or get a big running back via free agency who can do that, the third and short stuff. And that's gross oversimplification. And I'm also kind of downplaying Zeke's importance in that offense. But when McCarthy took over that offense, he's always wanted 3 down running backs with speed. And he's kind of not been a guy who really values power, and that's what Zeke is. He's a power back, and then I'm not downplaying how good Zeke is. He's not the guy who's going to at this stage in his career, he's not the guy who's going to, score from anywhere on the field. And that's kind of the player that they're looking for. That's the kind of player Pollard is. So don't be surprised if Payne comes here for less. We'll sign another. If you do get Payne to come to Detroit for less, that would create kind of an avalanche of free agents, and you could be looking at something very special. And I'm not saying this to kiss your ass. I'm not saying this to pander to Detroit fans. I'm not saying this because I got Detroit love here. I've been saying this for a couple of years. I think that you're building something really good. And if you continue to build, you have something really good because you're hitting on your drafts. Your offensive line is really good. Here's what you need in the NFL to succeed. And I've said this many times. You need three things to win a Super Bowl. You need a quarterback. Is Goff your guy? I don't think so. I really don't think so. But if you wanted to draft a quarterback, a big-time quarterback, you do it this year. But if you're sold on Goff, okay, that's one. You need a quarterback. I don't think Goff's the guy, but you can do worse. You need a left tackle, which you have. I wouldn't call him a top 5, but he's really good. And you need an edge rusher. Now, Key says, hey, I'd rather have an interior rusher than an edge rusher. I'd rather have Aaron Donald than an elite edge rusher. I get that. You need somebody you can get after the fucking quarterback. All right? Whether it's an edge rusher, interior. I think an edge rusher is better than an interior rusher, but if I had Aaron Donald or J.J. Watt in his prime, then yeah. So Detroit has almost the 3 keys you need to win a Super Bowl. All right. I'll be honest. If I'm Detroit, I'm going after a quarterback in the draft, and saying, hey, we're going for it. But if you think Goff's the guy, then Goff's the guy. There's a lot of good things going on in Detroit. That's what I'm trying to say. So. You will definitely sign a tackle in free agency. The question is he going to be an elite guy, or are you just going to sign some guys? It wouldn't surprise me if you go through the draft and you go through free agency. It also wouldn't surprise me if you guys move on from Ozarike this year. It wouldn't surprise me at all. It wouldn't surprise me. You get rid of him for like a 7th round pick. Just cut your losses. Be honest, a guy like Ozarike, I'd still love to see here in Kansas City. Like he would fit what Kansas City wants. Yeah. By the way, there's some defensive tackle free agents in Kansas City you may want to take a look at. So, all right. That said, let's break down the NFL games. I am also going to give you my national championship prediction. Let's start off with the game. I'm going to do play-by-play live for Saturday. So in about 19 hours, I am going to go live and do play-by-play and analysis for Chiefs Raiders. That's first game on the docket. Chiefs versus Raiders. Chiefs are a 9-point road favorite. Over-under is 52.5. I do think Chiefs are going to win. I do think the Raiders cover the line. It was at 9.5. It's 9. If you are going to bet on this game, I suggest you take 9, or if you can get 9.5 somewhere, do that. The line's going to drop probably in the next couple hours. People know Kansas City's not really going to run up the score. If I would be hesitant on going after the over. I know that the Raiders did some big things. I don't think he's that elite guy. I think it might be a flash in the pan type of thing. So be cautious about taking over. But I would suggest that if you are going to bet on this game, which I'm not, take the Raiders to cover, Chiefs to win. Over under, be cautious because 52.5 is a big number. Interesting. And Jimmy, by the way, the Raiders situation is really interesting. They have a lot of free agents and a lot of holes, and they have some draft capital too. So next up, Tennessee at Jacksonville. Jacksonville's a 6.5-point favorite. Over under is 40. I said this in my video. Watch it below. I haven't done the shorts yet. I'm going to do that later tonight. I like the Titans. That big upset. big upset. I like the Titans. I really do. I like Joshua Dobbs. I loved him at Tennessee. I thought he was going to take over as starting quarterback for Pittsburgh sooner than later. Roethlisberger just stayed too long. I like Joshua Dobbs. I like what he did. I think Derrick Henry. By the way, I haven't had a chance to check if Derrick Henry's going to play or if he's not. I think he is. I think he has a big game. I think Titans pulled the upset. Titans win the South. I would love to see everything work out so that Jacksonville gets into the playoffs, but it probably won't. Sorry, Jacksonville fans. Sorry, UCF Jaguar, who I'm a big fan of. I'm a really big fan of his channel. He hasn't been on here in a while, but big fan of his. So, New England Patriots at Buffalo. Buffalo 7.5 point favorite. Over under is 43.5. I left off the Bengals and Patriots from my picks video because I did it right after Monday Night Football. I wasn't sure what was going to happen. I have a hard time believing Buffalo's ready. New England will be. I think Patriots win this one. I really do. Massive upset. I would not bet on this game to save my life. I have no idea. There's so many unknowns, but I think I really just don't see the Bills being emotionally ready to play. I do think Bill Belichick gets his team ready. So I like them in an upset. Baltimore at Cincinnati. Cincinnati's a 9.5 point favorite. Over under 39.5. Here is where the scheduling gets the weirdest, because if Baltimore wins, they can't win the division, but they would end up getting the Bengals in the playoffs. And even though the Bengals win the division, they would play this game in a neutral site. It looks like it's either they play this at a neutral site or they do a coin flip. I encourage you to wait until the game's actually played. Lamar Jackson is not going to play. I'll be honest with you. I have no idea what the Bengals' thought process is, how they feel. I do think the Bengals win this game. And so with a Bengals win and a Bills loss, here's what would happen. The Bengals would actually leapfrog the Bills. So the Bengals would end up with the 2 spot. The Bills would get the 3 spot. And the Chiefs would be the 1 spot. And then everything's going to get crazy. I'm not going to go into all the situations, because I encourage you, if you are confused about what's going on in the AFC playoff picture, wait till these games all play out, and then you'll have everything broken down. I think they messed up. I think they should have called it. I think they should have just given the Bengals a 7-3 win instead of doing this other complex stuff. But kudos to the NFL for the way they handled it. Kudos to the ESPN crew for how they handled everything. And kudos to everybody who's been supporting Damar Hamlin. He has a charity, which I should have put in the description. His goal is to get like 25,000, and apparently it's like 2 million. So everybody on social media, the prayers, everybody changing their avatar, everybody following up with it. It's a good story. God, that I could not pick the worst word to say. Let me try that again. I'm gonna get culture canceled here. The way everybody has responded so positively to Damar Hamlin's situation has been a good story. So. I'm agnostic on golf. I think Brad Holmes thinks golf is the guy, and his opinion matters more. I think for those of you who don't know, Brad Holmes was in LA, and Brad Holmes was one of those who orchestrated trading 3 first-round picks to draft golf #1 overall. And I personally think that if you do want to draft a quarterback, you got to do it this year. Because you have the Rams pick, which is going to be a top 10 pick. You have your own first round pick. You have multiple quarterbacks that are coming out. I really think I'm going to do a lot of draft stuff, and I'm unsure of how I'm going to do it. I'm leaning towards right after the combine doing a weekly video with 4 picks. That way you'd be 8 weeks worth of picks, 1 through 4, 5 through 8, instead of doing what I was doing with 32 picks for 32 teams. Actually, it'd be 31. The Dolphins don't have a first-round pick. They have Denver's first-round pick, but they lose their own for the tampering situation, which nobody's talked about anymore. I really think that the Lions are going to say, you know what, we've been doing such a good job in the draft, and we also have the second-round pick from the Vikings, that let's trade up and let's roll the dice on the superstar. Let's say you're a team like the Chicago Bears, and you have multiple holes to fill. Maybe you make a team. Maybe you make a trade with the Bears. Get some players. Get some picks. Don't be surprised if the Lions want to give up a player. It's a weird time. And it's a great time. I said weird. It's really great. It's probably going to be a big name. Hutch can't do it by himself, and Pascal is balling. I seriously, I think Daron Payne would be a great fit. I really do. Watch out for Stidham. The Raiders situation. Yeah. The Raiders are, you have Josh Jacobs, who they really like and they really want to keep, but they have some problems with the offensive line. They have all sorts of problems defensively. With Adams, you got a lot of money tied up in the one wide receiver. Even if Stidham balls out, do you really want to say, hey, this is our guy who's going to start the 2023 season against Mahomes? Even if he beats Mahomes, do you still say that? There's so many great stories this offseason. You got me impressed with Brad Holmes' works. He's been doing a fantastic job. But the Skip Bayless tweet was horrible. I don't think it was. I don't have it up, but at the very end of his tweet, he says, it's not important now, or it's not as important now. And he tweeted out what goes on now. You have to do something about this game, but it doesn't seem as important now. And everybody just kind of, and that's kind of the culture we live in. Skip Bayless, Shannon Sharp, Stephen A. Smith, Colin Cowherd. These guys are all shock jocks. They're all basically diet Howard Stern. That's all it is. It's funny because I haven't watched the Howard Stern show, but I subscribe to him on Facebook. So they show these clips, and I watch a ton of those clips. He has some really good ones, but I don't watch anything that's longer than 4 minutes. So, but anyway, I'll be playing around on my phone, and the Howard Stern show is one of those. You probably don't know who it is, but Michael Rosenbaum, I'm probably mispronouncing his name, has a show where he interviews actors. He played Lex Luthor on Smallville, if any of you know that. So anyway, he has guests from Smallville come on, and he interviews other actors. And anyway, the small clips are really interesting. Yeah, it's one of my few non-football things, that and the 30 for 30. I watched the Last Days of Night, and then I also watched Requiem for the Big East, which kind of that was kind of what triggered the whole college basketball. Yeah, so I watch a lot of college basketball stuff, but not a single college basketball play. I want the first 3 or 4 picks on defense personally, or top 10 offense should be as good as next year. You're going to lose some players in free agency. You're probably going to lose your running back Williams, and that's going to be a big loss. That's probably the easiest one to replace in the draft. That's what I would do. There's some good running backs in the draft in the early couple rounds. You mentioned the TCU. You mentioned the TCU running back, and I don't know his name, but John Robinson, I think going to Detroit would be really special. But again, what do you do if you're Detroit? This is the year to take your quarterback. Do you take your shot now or what? So, no, man, I think people made him out now the molehill. Come on, dude, almost lost his life. Okay, here's the deal. All he said was that you have to play the game. And the bottom line, they had to do something. And I had zero problem with what Skip Bayless said. Now, am I a Skip Bayless fan? I don't follow anything Skip Bayless says because you don't like Skip Bayless. But you're talking about him. And that was the whole point of his tweet, was to bring up something that people that generate discussion. It's the shock jock thing. You're just saying something. Have you ever seen the movie Private Parts? It talks about Howard Stern. People tune in whether they hate him or they like him to hear what he says, and that's what Skip Bayless is doing. He's just generating conversations. I don't pay any attention to what he says. People were talking about it, so I saw it, and it was funny. First time I saw it, I was like, okay. It did not register anything. People blew up, and I think people blow up because they just don't like him, but that was the whole point, to get people talking about him. Then Shannon Sharp and him apparently have a beef, but I honestly, off camera, I think they're friends. Colin Cowherd. But I want to say something. All these guys, even though I don't listen to them, I have the utmost respect for them. Skip Bayless came from, I think it was the Dallas Sporting News in the 80s, worked his ass off, and he's one of the most popular people in America, believe it or not. Just because I don't follow him doesn't mean I don't respect him, but I know that his job is to just be a shock jock, generate. I don't take anything he says at face value. And that's not disrespect, because if I ever met the dude, I would probably be starstruck. I would want to shake his hand and say, man, I'm a big fan. Technically it would be a lie, but I would be excited to meet somebody like him. So, seriously, yeah. I have no idea what the Lions are going to do. Like when the season ends and we start talking about the draft, the Detroit Lions draft is going to be so interesting because they get the Vikings second round pick. They have their own second round pick. They have 2 picks in the first round. What do you do? Do you go up? Do you go down? I have no clue. I agree. Carr to the Jets. I think Jimmy G goes to the Jets. You remember Mike LaFleur, he was in San Francisco. He's the Jets offensive coordinator. Of course, Salo was in San Francisco. I think Jimmy G going to the Jets makes sense. Carr to the Jets makes sense. Carr to the Jets. I think Carr to the Texans also makes a lot of sense. If you want to draft a quarterback, maybe bring in Carr for a year. That would be a weird situation. Carr to your Bucks also makes sense if Brady retires. That's another thing. What he said, what Skip Bayless said, didn't affect anything. At the very end of this tweet, he says it doesn't matter as much. So, I mean, I didn't look at it negative. I disagree. I know Caleb Williams is going to come out. There's a few other quarterbacks, but this year's class, I think, is easily better. 1 and 2 is probably going to be Young and Stroud. Will Levis, Levis, whatever you want to say, his draft stock's just going to skyrocket. You have Anthony Richardson. And then you also have a couple quarterbacks that have potential. You have Herndon Hooker. Is he a first-round pick? That's debatable. Tua's younger brother out of Maryland, I think his draft stock's going to start shooting up. He's an interesting guy. There's a quarterback out of Washington State who a lot of people have said could go in the first round. This quarterback class, I think, is better, and I think it's better by a big margin, because I think Caleb Williams, even though he looks like he would probably go number 1 this year, we'll have to take a look at what he does. I mean, can he back up that Heisman performance? But right now, even though Chicago's probably going to pick 1 or 2, I think it's going to go Young and Stroud are going to go 1-2 in this draft. A lot of people think it could be Stroud over Young. Watch what he did against a very good Georgia defense. That looks like a guy who's worthy of the first pick in the draft. So, I think this class looks way better. There's seriously, it would not surprise me if it goes Young, Stroud, Levis, or Levi's 1, 2, 3. Wouldn't surprise me. This class is better than 2024. We'll have to wait and see though. I do like Duggan. I forgot to mention Duggan. He's another guy. Nobody's talking about him going in the first round. Why wouldn't an NFL team want to take this kid? Big, strong, tough, good arm, good size. I was very stressed out watching the Bengals-Bills game after the hit. I talked to my friend about the exact thing Skip tweeted as it was going on. Something happens when people tweet things. Yeah, that makes things sound like a fit. Yeah, exactly. I actually have I have a lot of respect for Skip Bayless and how he worked his way up from being a sports reporter to one of the most popular people in America today, whether you like him or don't like him. I mean, we're talking about, you hate him. I mean, we spent last several minutes talking about a guy that you and One Pride both hate. If I ever ran into him, I would be giddy like a schoolgirl and be like, "Oh, man, you're Skip Bayless." But I don't follow anything he says. He's a shock jock. He's no longer a reporter. He's more shock jock. So they will be much more. I expect them to. Please no. If you haven't seen it, WN. I was not a Howard Stern fan until I saw Private Parts, and afterwards I loved the guy. And so on Facebook, I'm part of the Howard Stern. I have it bookmarked, so on my phone, Howard Stern pops up when I go to Facebook. So what I do is that when I hop on my phone, I go to Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And when I go to Facebook, I got out a lot of the sports Facebook groups. It's just, oh God, you want to see stupid sports fans? Go to a Chiefs Facebook group. Oh God, it is so bad. Anyway, if you watch the movie, they say people tune in whether you hate them or you like them, and that's how he became so popular. But yeah, it's just too much clickbait. Yeah. Quinn Ewers, William McCarthy, all come out this year. My bad, 2024. No, I get it. I get it. I'll take 2 Horned Frogs gladly. Seriously, that's going to be interesting. And don't even forget the wide receiver. And I don't know his name off the top of my head. I should. He's a guy that would be kind of an interesting. I know Funk likes him. He's a guy who's probably going to go top 10. TCS, yes, they do. I should rephrase. I don't hate Skip. I just find him in that show annoying. But yes, I get that's his brand name. Yeah, exactly. That's better. Yeah. Then I get distracted easily. Drink the Kool-Aid. All right, let's continue. Minnesota Vikings at Chicago. Chicago's a 6-point dog. Over under 43. If you watch my picks video, I predicted an upset. I picked a Bears victory. Now, when I made that pick, I thought Fields was going to play and try to break the all-time rushing record. He's not going to. So I'm going to kind of revise this because I thought Minnesota would rest players. No, I don't think so. So even though in my video I picked the Bears, I'm going to go back and pick the Vikings to win. The Vikings really want to get the 2 spots. So that's, yeah. He's probably done. Yeah, he's probably going top 10. They got a corner, a running. Yeah, there's a lot of talent on that TCU team. Don't underestimate them. Next up, Jets at Dolphins. Dolphins are a 3.5-point favorite. Over under 37. Skylar Thompson, the 7th round rookie out of K-State, is going to get the start for Miami. I think the Jets win this game. I really do. I know Miami playoff life is on the line. I think that's a team that's just kind of fallen apart. I think people are realizing Mike McDaniel's not the second coming. Bill Belichick. I think he's done an excellent job. Give him a lot of credit. you're banking on seventh round rookie to get you into the playoffs. And here's the way it works right now in the AFC. If the playoffs were to end today, New England wins the tiebreakers because New England, Miami, and Pittsburgh are all 8-8. Jacksonville's 8-8. So here's how it works. New England currently wins the tiebreaker, right? But they have to win, right? And I think they do. I think they get it done. And as soon as they get it done, Miami, who's going to play later in the day, I'm sorry. Miami's going to play at the same time. I think the Jets are going to win. And I think the Patriots are going to pull an upset over the Bills, who I don't think are going to be emotionally ready to play. And then the final game will be Cleveland at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's 2.5-point favorite. Over under 4.5. And I do think Pittsburgh's going to beat the Browns. This is, by the way, going to be a really underrated, very, very, very good game. Very underrated, very good game. So the way it's going to happen is New England's going to get the playoff spot. Even though Jacksonville, I got them losing, they're going to cheer for the Bills, the Jets, and the Browns, and they're going to come up short. So what's going to happen in the AFC picture, I predict, is that I predict the way it's going to work out is New England's going to get 7 seed, and Baltimore's going to get the 6 seed. And in this scenario, Buffalo goes from 1 to 3. Next up, Tampa Bay at Atlanta. Atlanta's a 4-point favorite. Over under is 40.5. I heard originally that they're going to play their starters. They're going to pull players early. I don't care what they say. Be smart and pull players and they're going to rest starters. So I think Atlanta wins the last game of the season. That's seriously. Arthur Smith, his job is not secure at all. I mean, I understand that they went through some weird quarterback situations, but that's a job opening possibility. That they wouldn't surprise me if they decide to move on from Arthur Smith. I do think he stays, but you have 2 double-digit losing seasons back to back. So, yeah, he's talking about this comment. Great comment. I feel like a big name is just going to fall in the draft. I think it's going to be Will Anderson. I think Will Anderson is going to be a guy that free falls, and I say free falls probably goes in the early teens instead. A lot of people got him in top 5. I think he's going to fall. So Saleh isn't that good. I think he's an excellent defensive mind, not a good head coach. There was some talk that with the Jets collapse, he may be on the chopping block. I don't think so, but he could be. Denver Gator, I didn't know Flacco was getting the start. I thought it was Mike White. So I think Steelers get 7th seed. The only way that happens is, let me break this down. So first off, New England has to lose because New England holds the tiebreaker. So New England has to lose. Then Miami has to lose. And by the way, I would love that for the NFL, for Pittsburgh to get in. That would be a great story. I think New England's going to be ready to play. I really do. I think New England's going to be ready to play. I don't see how Buffalo can be ready to play. That's just my opinion. Maybe Buffalo's really motivated. I don't know. But I just got a feeling. That's a shoot myself in the face football game. Because things always work out for them, and you know what, they in the past it has. So Texans against Colts. Colts are 2.5-point favorite. Over under 37.5. I think the Texans get the win and cost themselves the number 1 pick. I don't think they want the number 1 pick. I really think that they want to roll with Mills, and that's what I would do. Next up, Panthers at Saints. Saints are a 3.5-point favorite. Over-unders at 42. I think the Saints end the season strong. This is actually going to be a pretty underrated game, even though there's no playoff possibilities, because I think that both these coaches want to stay, and I think there's legitimate. After reading that ESPN article, it kind of makes sense that maybe Dennis Allen's spot in New Orleans is a little warm. So. For the late games, we got Giants at Eagles. Eagles are 14.5 point favorite. Over under is 43. I don't have word. I don't have word as to who's starting in Philly. I really don't think it matters. I heard Giants are not going to rest players, and then I heard they are, so that's up in the air. They are going to rest players. I don't care. Philly was going to win this game, so they get the 1 seed. San Francisco at the Cardinals, 49ers, 14-point favorite, 39.5 is the over-under. They really want the 2 seed right after the game. Where Kingsbury's going to be gone, so. Dallas at Washington. Dallas is 7-point favorite. Over under is 40. Because Philly plays late, you're not going to know what's going on. So Dallas could technically still get the 1 seed. That gets kind of convoluted. So they got more to play for. That's always the Washington-Dallas really good rivalry, so it's going to be interesting. I do think Dallas wins. I think it's going to be Carter, even in Anderson's down year. He registered 10 sacks. There is some talk about Jalen Carter having some off-field issues, some maturity problems. That's going to be interesting. But I mean, this is one of those things in the draft. There's always a player that drops. There's always a player that drops, and there's always a player that rises. And we're going to talk a lot of draft stuff, but Carter could be the guy. I think Anderson's the guy. I think Anderson's the guy that they're going to say, hey, you know what? You had a lot of sacks at Alabama. You're supposed to have a lot of sacks in Alabama. So, I'm going to be honest with you. I just got a feeling they like Tyree Wilson better. And I think a lot of NFL scouts are really going to fall in love because Tyree Wilson, I think, can do a lot more. I'm not going to lie to you, though. Anderson on one side, Hutchinson on the other. Oh, God. Oh, God, that would be scary for teams. I think you're 100% correct, One Pride. Salo on the hot seat next year, I'm calling it. I mean, you have to understand that the Jets have lost, 5 or 6 straight? They were ready to go to the playoffs. They get Breece Hall coming back. How he's handled this quarterback situation, I don't think has been good. I think he's done the best he could, but it's a bad situation. If the Jets go 6-11, he's gone. I agree. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. The Giants have nothing to play for. They're a 6 seed. They were public, and it's just some trash talk, really. I think it's just to mess Philly up. They're going to address this like a preseason game. So I mean, Philly could cover. I don't think it's a big deal. He did not show up against Ohio State. Now, in all fairness, Ohio State has a really good offensive line. But yeah. Yeah, Trayvon Walker, remember going into the draft, he was a late first-round pick, then the combine, he goes number 1. Was the riser, the taller in the 21 draft was Sewell. I don't know, Sewell. I think a lot of people thought Sewell was the top 10, but Walker went from bottom to number 1 after the draft, and I've seen this happen in the draft so many times. I remember I didn't tweet this out, but I remember Patrick Mahomes had a second, third round grade. A lot of people thought after the season was over, hey, we can get Patrick Mahomes in the third round. Then his stock just skyrocketed. A lot of that had to do with John Gruden and that Gruden talk where he interviewed all the quarterbacks. And he said, out of all the quarterbacks in the draft, Mahomes is my guy. And once he said that, now him and Andy Reid go back a long time. So I think that was part of it. But when Gruden said that he would take Mahomes, and that skyrocketed everything else. up for Mahomes, even though his stock was already skyrocketing. So he went 10th overall when a lot of people thought he'd go in the third. LA versus Denver in an AFC West showdown. Denver's a 3-point favorite. Over under is 40. I'm taking a look here. Here's the deal. They really want to get the 5 spot, and they're in the 5 spot. So I'm kind of surprised Denver's favored here. I like the Chargers here because they really want the 5 spot. They want to play the AFC South winner. They don't want to play I'm going to call them the big 3 in the AFC. They don't want to play Kansas City, Buffalo, or Cincinnati in round 1. So I think they play hard this game. I'm just kind of surprised about this one. So I like the Chargers here. This would probably be my bet. To be honest with you, this is probably my bet. I would bet on the Chargers. I'll be honest with you. I haven't. I should be more on the ball, but yeah, Chargers. That would be my pick. Next up, looks like best hire in 2020. Boy, my Lions bias is coming out real bad right now. All right. Next up, Rams at Seattle. Seattle's a 6-point favorite. Over under is 41.5. I will be cheering for the Rams, but Seattle wins this game. They need this game to get into the playoffs. They get it done. I'm sorry. Finally, Detroit at Green Bay. Green Bay is a 5-point favorite. Over under is 49. Green Bay will be fighting for the playoffs. Detroit will not. Rodgers and the Pack get it done. I am so sorry, Lions fans. I really like Green Bay here because I don't see how Detroit cannot be disappointed. I don't see how they. Yeah, I'm surprised. I'm surprised, but yeah, I don't see how you can't. That's just going to be too big of a letdown. And Green Bay, at home, momentum's on their side. I think Seahawks win, and I think Green Bay wins. So I'm really sorry. I'm cheering for the opposite. I hope so, man. I by the way, if I am wrong, if I am wrong, I want you guys, do not blame Jimmy. You come and you rub it in my face. You find me on social media and message me, DM me, ha Dan, Lions Pride. I want to hear it. Please come at me. Do not come at Jimmy. It makes sense, man. It just makes sense. The Rams are playing with a bunch of backups. Seattle playing for the playoffs. They're at home. The 12th man is intimidating. Chewing on my lip, yeah. All right. Trying to find why. Okay. For some reason or another, they do not have it. It's got to be here. I can't find the. Okay, here it is. Okay, so it's in a subsection here. So I clicked on the FCS, so North Dakota against South Dakota State, and North Dakota covers. They're a 5.5-point dog, North Dakota, so nobody cares about that. If we're at Ford Field, I'd feel different. The Lions have not been good in cold weather. Well, you said Campbell's on the hot seat, and the seat went very cold. I did. I think that if he continued to win 2 or 3 games, he would have been gone. But Campbell deserves consideration for Coach of the Year. My Coach of the Year would still be Nick Sirianni for the I might be butchering that. It would still for the Eagles. So national championship, TCU and Georgia. Georgia is a 12.5-point favorite. Over under is 63. I know both these teams had a shootout. I don't see it the second time around, so I like the under. It wouldn't surprise me if Georgia covers 13. It's 12.5. I'm going to say 12.5, 13, whatever. It wouldn't surprise me Georgia wins in blowout. It really wouldn't. I like the under. I think Georgia just TCU. I do not underestimate TCU. There's some really good talent on this team. I mean they've peaked. I mean, they got fighter's chance. I think in the first half is going to be really good. And I think in the second half, the talent that Georgia has is just going to come through. I think Georgia is just going to run the ball. That tight end that they got is probably going to be a top 10 pick. He's that good. The other tight end is a possible first rounder, even with the injury. I have to see how severe the injury is, but yeah. Yeah, I like Georgia. I would not bet on Georgia to cover 12.5. The play for me would be the under. You watch, it'll be like a 52-45 shootout, but Campbell's a close second. I wouldn't be mad at that. I wouldn't be mad at that. I'm going to be a little biased here. The way it would work for me, Nick Sirianni and then Andy Reid. Chiefs got a chance to go 14-3 when, a lot of people wrote the Chiefs off. I mean, they were still the favorite to win the AFC West, but last year it was negative 300. This year it was like plus 170. I got plus 165. I got the bet slip. Well, actually, I wrote everything down on this piece of paper I have in front of me, but I got the bet slip right there. Probably Monday or Tuesday, I'm going to drive to Iowa, collect all my bets, and that's kind of what I'm looking at. So I personally think Andy Reid. I mean, you got the MVP of the league. I think Mahomes wins MVP. I think that's a no-brainer, unless he has a terrible game. But, I mean, the Chiefs are going to end up with the 1 seed, even though they lost to both the Bengals and the Bills. And I don't – Andy Reid doesn't get the credit he deserves. Zach Taylor, coach of the Bengals, deserves a lot of credit. They started the season 0-2, I think 1-3. And, I also like the way that both Taylor and McDermott handled the situation on Monday night. Really impressed with both those guys. Both those guys deserve Coach of the Year votes. For me, it's Nick Sirianni. Then I would go Andy Reid. Campbell maybe number 3, but I don't know if I would put him number 2. But I'm a homer. I'm a Chiefs fan. So if the Rams somehow win, I'm going to lose my mind. I can't wait to watch the game. I hope it's. I haven't even looked at the local games yet, but with the local games, I don't have all the information. So yeah, I feel the same way, brother. I really, really do. I feel the same exact way. So defensive rookie of the year, Sauce in the much. Yeah, Sauce might be the best corner in football. So, yeah. That's basically showed Michigan what's up. I thought that was a big upset. So, watch the line for Georgia. TCU will probably go to 14.5. I doubt it goes up to 14.5. I think 14 is going to be the limit. It's 13.5 now. I think 14 definitely. Wouldn't surprise me. Georgia covers. I think it's going to be a close first half. I think Georgia comes through. Their offensive and defensive lines are so much better than TCU's. And I also think that they'll do a really good job of adjusting offensively and defensively to TCU. And by the way, even if TCU loses big, give them a ton of credit. Sonny Dyke, I think it's Sonny Dykes coming from SMU to TCU. Did a fantastic job. I mean, it's his first year at TCU. You know what the funny thing is? They're not even winning the recruiting battle in Texas. Texas is winning the recruiting battle. Texas A&M's winning the recruiting battle. So he's done a fantastic job, win or lose. So Defensive rookie of the year should be James Houston. He has more sacks than Hutch in the Hutch season. I still think it's Sauce. Sauce might be the best corner in football. So Hutch might win it, though. He has more interceptions than Sauce. All right. Hatter's House has a 40-20 victory. Gay Lions Farm. I'll look it up later tonight. James, if you're still here, I'm going to read your email, but I'm going to sign off here. If anybody's got any last minute comments, please let me know. Please, if you haven't already, give me a thumbs up, share the video, share the channel. Try to get this up to 1,000. Last time I looked, I was at 930, so I'm almost at 1,000. I will be going live tomorrow for Chiefs Raiders. So if you're watching the game on TV, hit that mute button, turn me on, and let's talk football. I'm going to be doing my play-by-play and my best in messing up players' names. So guys, that's all I got. Who are my Super Bowl picks? I don't know if I should give one. It might be too early. Or you know what? I'm gonna give you one. AFC, I like Kansas City. I really like Kansas City. They're going to be the 1 seed with a bye that's really big. They're going to enter the postseason healthy. That's key. All right. Buffalo, the Hamlin injury is big. Von Miller is big. Josh Allen not at 100%. Is also big. I don't think they can get it done. Cincinnati, who's had the Chiefs number and is right now the hottest team in the AFC, I think that you're going to see Chiefs Bengals, and it will be at Arrowhead. There is no tiebreaker concern. If the Chiefs play the Bengals the way I have everything going, Chiefs would end up beating the Bengals. In the AFC, though, I would be very cautious. Baltimore, Lamar Jackson, you don't know what they're going to get. The defense is really good. The Chargers right now are really peaking. I mean, the Chargers are really playing some good ball, and they're the healthiest they've been all year. Keenan Allen and Mike Williams have not been on the field at the same time healthy until just now. And for those of you that don't remember, week 2, Herbert had a nasty injury against the Chiefs. He's not, I don't know if he's 100%, but it's the healthiest he's been all year. So the Chargers offensively have a lot of talent, and they have a defensive-minded head coach. That defense isn't good, but you get some turnovers against this Chargers team. So that's dangerous. But I like Kansas City in the AFC. In the NFC, it's really tough because I could see all the wild card teams advancing. I really could. I mean, seriously, Dallas. I could see Dallas beating Tampa Bay. Green Bay. Let's say Green Bay gets in. Green Bay plays either Minnesota or San Francisco. I could see Green Bay advancing. The Giants. Do they have a fighter's chance against Minnesota in a 3-6? Absolutely. They just played them to overtime, and the Vikings. Or no, they played them to the last play. The Vikings won a 61-yard field goal. Yeah, I can see the Giants advancing over Minnesota. I can see all those. So to give you an answer, I'm going to give you a weenie pick. I know you're not going to like it, but Chiefs Eagles, just 2 favorites, and it'd be a good story. Andy Reid's 2 teams. I mean, I think it'd be a great story. 2 MVP candidates at quarterback. It'd be. I think it's Philly, Kansas City, and I think it'd be a great story. That's kind of my pick right now, and this is subject to change. Stat Sheet Sports, man. Thank you for joining me, man. I appreciate it. It's great to see you. Thoughts on Green Bay making the playoffs? They're dangerous. I'm gonna tell you something right now. Let's say you're San Francisco, and you had to choose, do I want to play Green Bay in the playoffs or do I want to play Detroit? I would rather play Green Bay. I would rather play Detroit. I'm pulling. I don't want to. I'd rather play Green Bay. I'd rather play Detroit. I'd rather play Seattle. I don't want to play Green Bay. Green Bay's peaking. Aaron Rodgers could be the best quarterback in the playoffs, and that includes Brady. Even though Brady had a fantastic game against Carolina. Green Bay is a scary team because they're peaking and they're underdogs. And I think it makes them very dangerous. And if you're San Francisco, you don't want to play Green Bay. If you're San Francisco and you're the 2 seed, the last team you really want to see is Green Bay. Ironically, though, I think Detroit matches up the best. If you're looking at Seattle, Green Bay, and Detroit against San Francisco, Detroit matches up the best with San Francisco because San Francisco's strength of their team is their defensive line, where Detroit has maybe the best offensive line in football. So you have a really good matchup. You know, and the NFL is all about matchup. I think Detroit matches up really, really good against San Francisco. And you also have a pair of pass rushers against a rookie quarterback. Yeah, he's been playing good. He's been playing really good. But in the playoffs, and you're getting pressure, that's a different story. And the offensive line of Detroit really would negate a really good defensive line. So I think Detroit would be able to score against San Francisco. I really do. This would be a fun matchup because I would pick Detroit to cover the line, and I would bet heavy on Detroit to cover because that line would be big. It would be 9.5, maybe even double digits. It might be a double-digit line. Same thing with Seattle. It wouldn't be a double-digit line with Green Bay. I can tell you that for a fact. Drew Tranquil would be a great pickup in free agency. He's a really good player. Green Bay is looking like an entire different team these last couple of weeks, and everyone is over. You're right. Here's the scary thing about Green Bay is they can run the ball, and they can run the ball with some physicality. And that's one thing that they've not been able to do the last couple of years. Even though they've had a big running back, they really haven't incorporated that. Well, now they can do it. Green Bay's peaking at the right time. So is Detroit. If you're San Francisco, you probably want to play San Francisco. Or I'm sorry, if you're San Francisco, even though it's a division rival, you probably want to play Seattle in the first round because they're a team that's on the downslide. The last team you would want to play is Green Bay. If you're San Francisco, you do not want to play Green Bay in the playoffs. I think Detroit matches up the best with them. And even though Seattle and San Francisco are rivals in the NFC West, and it would be a great matchup, I think San Francisco is probably thinking, yeah, we got this. So that's kind of my thoughts here. If anybody else has anything, I'll stay on. If not, if you get a chance, man, tune in, watch me live. I'll set up the live stream later tonight, and you can join. Just mute your TV and then listen to me, answer your questions. Guys, don't forget, give me a thumbs up. Share my YouTube channel. I'm almost to 1,000. I really appreciate it. And everybody have a good weekend. I'll see you back next Friday.